Hey guys, this is Shelley Meche'tte. How are you? Women's empowerment speaker, visionary consultant, author, and a girl gets a little bit of acting done every now and then. Being that this is the last day for Mental Health Awareness Month, I kind of wanted to shoot a really quick video before the day got away from me. I wanted to have an opportunity just to speak a little bit on mental health and just how it can really affect us as women. Most of us know that as women, we just take on so many different roles. You know, we have our role for some of us, we're mothers. For some of us, we're mothers and wives. Some of us are wives. Some of us are neither. Some are just career oriented. Perhaps you're taking care of your parent. Perhaps you're just really, really striving for goals that you'd like to meet in a certain amount of time. Point being that a lot of times as women, we end up taking care of so many other people. We end up putting ourselves last in so many different areas. We really don't take time to care for ourselves the way we're caring for other people. And it is so important that we learn how to care for our mental self. We need to be able to care about our mental health in the same way that we care for our physical health. We need to be able to sit down and make sure that we're okay and to check in sometimes with our own selves. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of times those who are suffering from mental illness, those who are suffering from depression, there's a stigma that's attached to that. And what ends up happening, or I can speak on my end, let me just speak on my end. What ended up happening to me was I felt so ashamed when I was going through depression. I felt like there was no one that I could talk to. I felt like there was a stigma that was attached to it. And because of those things, I never sought help. I was in depression. Life woes had just really began to fall on me, being the only one taking care of my daughter, having the pressures at work, having things just going on internally. At first, I didn't even know that I was in depression. I had no idea. I was just functioning. You know, I came from a background of a mother who was a single parent, and I saw my mother work. I saw her take care of me and my brother. I saw her pay the bills. I saw her make sure that everything was done. And so when I looked at a strong black woman, I looked at my mom, and I felt like, you know, my mom did all of these things, and she's not falling apart, or she hasn't fallen into a depression, nothing that I had ever seen. So I felt kind of, I don't even know the word. I felt like I had no right, I guess, to be in that place. I felt like black folks are not supposed to get depressed, or black folks don't see counselors. I had grown up in a Christian home, and as far as my upbringing, Christians didn't get depression. Saved folks, they don't go to see specialists. They don't go to see mental health specialists. These kinds of things can be prayed away. You know, you're dealing with a demon, so fall on your knees, get into fasting, and get loose from this demonic force that you're dealing with. Now, let me give my disclaimer. I am 100% ride or die for my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I believe that He can do any and everything, including heal us from all things: depression, mental illness, physical illness, all of those things. So I'm not saying not to get in your secret closet. I'm not saying not to pray. I'm not saying not to fall on your face. But what I am saying is, if I were someone who was suffering from cancer, then no one would have a problem with me going to see a specialist, along with me praying, along with me believing God, along with me being comforted and having arms wrapped around me. So why is it that when someone is suffering from depression or suffering from mental illness, then we make them feel less than because they need a little extra assistance? When I was going through my depression, I was all alone. There was no one, and I do mean absolutely no one there. And I probably could have reached out to someone, but I didn't feel like that was the thing that I was supposed to do. Depression was for crazy people. Depression, it wasn't supposed to be for a young woman who had the things that she wanted in life. Was everything great? Was everything perfect? Of course not. But I was working for an entertainment company. You know, I had a wonderful, awesome child, a very challenging child though. But I was a mom. I enjoyed being a mom. But I tell you guys, the pressures of life just really became too much. At one point, and this is where I really get emotional, because this is where I became scared. Because at one point during my bout of depression, not only did I begin suffering from suicidal thoughts, but I literally began hearing voices. And that's something that I don't like to admit, that I was literally hearing voices, because that's the part where I feel like people were going to judge me, where I couldn't open up to someone and say to somebody, hey, I'm hearing voices. I'm hearing voices tell me that I'm no good. You shouldn't be alive. There's no reason for you to be here. And I was beginning to believe those voices. They were coming more often, and they were staying longer. It had got to the point where I was more afraid of silence than being around a bunch of people. I was faking my way through. I was smiling every day. I was going to work every day. I was going to church every week. I was helping other people. I was pouring life into other people. And every day when I came home, I was cracking, just like an eggshell. I was breaking every single day. I did my duty as a mom. And when I would put my child to bed at night, I would fall on the floor. I would fall on the floor every single night. One night I was on the floor and I was so exhausted, you guys. I was so exhausted from fighting every single day just to wake up. For fighting every single day to find a reason to live. For fighting every single day to try to silence these voices that had taken over. That I found myself in a fetal position. And I was just holding my head. I was holding my head like this. And I was rocking back and forth in a fetal position. And I was just, I was screaming, but I was going, just be quiet. Just be quiet. Shut up. And I was just, you know, I just wanted the voices to stop. I just wanted silence. And I didn't know what to do. At that point, I began saying, I just need out. I just need the voices to stop. And the only way that I could think to have the voices stop was if I was no longer here. And it was a scary thought for me, because suicide began to be almost probably a part of my daily thoughts. I just don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And if there was one person that I would have been able just to reach out to, if there was one person who told me it's okay for you to feel the way that you're feeling, then I wouldn't have had to walk that journey by myself. I even tested it one day. I was talking to one of my friends, one of my guy friends, and I wanted so bad to let him know that something was wrong. Something was going on. I couldn't stop these thoughts. I was in turmoil mentally. I was crying all day as soon as I could get away. But I was good, you guys. I was good at hiding. I was good at making sure that no one knew what was going on. But it was getting harder and harder. So I spoke to one of my friends, and I just gave him a scenario, asking him what he would think, you know, if someone came to him and told him that they were having suicidal thoughts, or they were suffering, you know, from voices and things of that nature. And I'll never forget that he started, you know, laughing a bit. And his response was, you know, basically, that you need Jesus, and you're crazy. And so I became intimidated, and I felt ashamed all over again. I felt like somewhere here something's wrong. You know, I'm not saved. I'm not a real Christian. I'm not strong, you know, like other women. I'm not strong like other people. I'm weak. I'm broken, and I'm weak, and there's absolutely no use for me. I never sought help, you guys. I never sought help. There was never someone for me to gravitate to and walk me through the process, because of the stigma that comes along with depression and mental illness. Why am I doing this video? Because there's another woman somewhere who feels the exact way that I felt. Like there's no reason to wake up in the morning. You're hearing the voices. Your heart is breaking. Life's woes has fallen on you. Perhaps you're dealing with the death of a child, of a parent. Perhaps you've lost your job and you can't pay your rent, and just too many things have piled on top of you. And now you're in that position too. You don't have to be like me. You don't have to walk this alone. There are people who are out there. There are people who care. There are people who will walk with you. There are people who will listen. You don't have to be ashamed. You don't have to feel alone. You don't have to hide. You don't have to do this by yourself. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes just to make this video to say to someone else, woman, man, child, it's okay for you to not be okay until you're okay again. And you don't have to be afraid to reach out to someone to help you. I was able to walk through my depression by the grace of God, you guys. I don't know how I made it. But I can tell you this. God used my boss at the time to really help pull me through that moment in my life. And I'm very, very grateful for it. But how much better would it have been if I didn't have to sit in that part of life by myself, all alone, with no one to help me? Let's stop this, guys. Let's stop making those who suffer from depression and other mental illnesses feel like they're not a part of our society, feel like they're less than, that they're second class. We can do so much when we do it together. That's it. I just wanted to share my story and let you know you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it by yourself. Have a great day, guys. My name is Shelley Meche'tte. Bye-bye.